Andrew Berry just lit a match, tossed it onto the quarterback depth chart, and walked away like a man with nothing left to lose. Yes, Shedeur Sanders is now QB1 for the Cleveland Browns. Not next year. Not after some developmental arc. Right now. And Dillon Gabriel? The more experienced, more conventional choice? He's on clipboard duty. Holding the headset. Watching from the sidelines. Welcome to the dog pound, where chaos is the new strategy. And let's not sugarcoat it. This move sent shockwaves through the NFL. Analysts didn't know whether to call it gutsy or reckless.
If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed.
Fans were either celebrating like it was the second coming, or panic refreshing Shedeur's college highlight reel like, are we sure about this? But make no mistake, this isn't just a roster update. This is a rebranding campaign disguised as a depth chart decision. This is the Browns declaring, we're done playing it safe. We're done being boring. We're done being forgotten. And Andrew Berry? He's not just trying to win games. He's trying to change the storyline. Because let's be honest, Cleveland has been the punchline of the NFL for decades. A quarterback graveyard. A carousel of false hope. Year after year, some new guy arrives with the promise of stability, only to become another jersey name in the ever-growing scroll of disappointment. At this point, Browns fans don't even get mad anymore. They just shrug. But Shedeur? Shedeur is different. He's not walking in to manage expectations. He's walking in to detonate them. Let's talk about what this actually means. This isn't just about performance. It's about presence. Shedeur Sanders brings more than arm talent. He brings eyeballs, energy, controversy, flash, narrative. In other words, exactly what Cleveland's been missing. And Andrew Berry? He knows it. The decision to start Shedeur over Dillon Gabriel wasn't just about who threw better in training camp. It was about who moves the needle, who gets the cameras rolling, who makes fans tune in, not just in Cleveland but nationally. Gabriel? Solid, safe textbook. The type of guy you can plug into an offense and hope for a decent season. Shedeur? He's the headline. And in the new NFL? Headlines matter. We're living in an era where quarterbacks aren't just judged on passer rating, they're judged on engagement. Followers. Hype. Swagger. And Shedeur? He's already a walking media circus. The name Sanders alone gets you a seat at the conversation. But the kid's talent? That's what's got everyone watching. And let's be real, he's got it. He's been playing in pressure cookers his whole life. At Jackson State, then Colorado, under the biggest spotlight college football could offer. He didn't just survive the chaos, he thrived in it. He was calm, calculated, unbothered. The bigger the moment, the smoother he played. That kind of composure? You can't teach it. And Berry is betting the house that it will translate to the NFL. Now, is it risky? Oh, absolutely. You don't throw a rookie into a starting job, especially in Cleveland, without knowing there's a tidal wave of scrutiny coming. This isn't some backwater franchise that can afford to quietly develop a QB. This is the most quarterback-cursed team in football. The microscope is always on. And if Shedeur stumbles early, that microscope becomes a magnifying glass, and the whole city of Cleveland becomes one giant heat lamp. But that's what makes this so bold. Berry isn't afraid of the fallout. He's embracing it. This isn't just about football mechanics. This is about making Cleveland matter. This is about turning a cursed franchise into a content machine. It's about giving fans something they haven't had in years, a reason to believe. Because no matter how you slice it, Shedeur Sanders feels like the future. He doesn't just show up to play games. He shows up to tell stories. The swagger. The interviews. The social media presence. The Deion Sanders DNA. It's all part of the package. And right now, NFL teams aren't just competing for wins, they're competing for relevance. For cultural capital. For buzz. And if there's one thing Shedeur brings by the truckload, it's buzz. You think it's a coincidence the Browns announced this decision right before preseason hype reaches its peak? Not a chance. This wasn't a leak. It was a launch. This was a calculated marketing moment designed to set the internet on fire. And oh, it did. Instantly, debates broke out on every sports show. Twitter threads exploded. Reddit was melting. Some fans hailed it as revolutionary. Others called it reckless. But everyone had an opinion. And that's exactly what Berry wanted. Because for the first time in years, people are talking about the Browns. Not as a cautionary tale. Not as a meme. But as a storyline. And now all eyes are on Shedeur. Can he live up to the hype? Can he handle NFL defenses? Can he carry the weight of Cleveland's cursed quarterback legacy and break it? Nobody knows. That's the point. It's the not knowing that creates the drama, the tension, the must-watch energy. And make no mistake, this is a television product now. The NFL has always been about more than just football. It's about spectacle, about myth-making, about main characters. And the Browns just found theirs. Shedeur isn't just playing quarterback, he's playing the lead. And Dillon Gabriel? Well, he's the understudy now. And look, let's be fair, Gabriel is no slouch. He's a smart, experienced high IQ player who knows how to win. In most franchises he'd probably be the starter. But the truth is he's not a disruptor. He's not a headline. He's not a cultural shift. And in this version of Cleveland, that's what the job requires. You don't break a curse with safe decisions. You break it by shocking the system. Andrew Berry knows that. And he's all in. Of course the risk is enormous. If Shedeur flames out, if the hype implodes, if the Browns spiral into another season of chaos, the critics will be brutal. They'll say the team bought into flash over fundamentals. That they chased fame instead of football. That they wasted another chance to rebuild. But if it works, if Shedeur finds his rhythm, silences the doubters, wins games, then this isn't just a good move. It's legendary. The kind of move that gets written into NFL history. The kind that defines a GM's legacy. The kind that turns Cleveland from a football graveyard into the most exciting storyline in the league. And let's not ignore the symbolic power of it all. The Browns have been haunted by mediocrity for decades. Quarterback after quarterback, season after season, it's been a cycle of almost, not quites, and total flameouts. But this move? This is rebellion. It's defiance. It's saying, we're not scared of the ghosts anymore. They're not looking for another game manager. They're looking for a hero. And Shedeur? Well, he just stepped into the spotlight. Whether he shines or crashes, that's the drama. That's the hook. And that's exactly what Cleveland needed. So buckle up, because this season isn't just football, it's theater. It's chaos. It's a full-blown rebranding effort disguised as a QB depth chart. And at the center of it all? Shedeur Sanders. The rookie with the golden arm, the famous last name, the swagger of a star, and the pressure of an entire franchise on his shoulders. Will he rise? Will he fall? Who knows? But one thing's for sure, the Browns just went from forgotten to front page. So tell us, was this a masterstroke or a meltdown in the making? Is Shedeur the savior Cleveland's been waiting for, or just the next chapter in the Browns' eternal quarterback curse? Let us know in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe, because this isn't just a football story. This is a drama in progress. And you won't want to miss a second of it. Choosing Shedeur Sanders over Dillon Gabriel wasn't just a football decision. It was a thunderclap. The kind of moment where the league pauses, players stare at their phones mid-practice, and Twitter becomes a war zone. You could feel the tension shift. The NFL isn't just reacting, they're recalculating. Because this wasn't supposed to happen yet. Not this soon. Not in Cleveland of all places. And yet here we are. But here's the thing people keep missing. This isn't just about what Shedeur might do on the field. It's about what he already represents off of it. This is a cultural collision. A seismic moment where football, fame, and the future of athlete identity crash into each other. And the epicenter? Is the Browns' locker room. Let's paint the picture. Training camp. Cameras everywhere. The usual noise, the usual competition. Then the decision drops. Shedeur's the guy. The rook. The flash. The brand. And Dillon Gabriel, the ready-now, film room grinder with NFL system written all over him, gets relegated to the backup spot. Can you imagine the energy in that locker room? Some veterans are nodding like, hell yeah, let's ride the hype wave. Others are probably side-eyeing the whole thing thinking, we're turning into a reality show. And maybe they're not wrong. Because when Shedeur walked into that facility as QB1, he didn't just bring a playbook, he brought a spotlight. And that spotlight? It doesn't just shine, it burns. The pressure on this kid is unreal. Every throw, every scramble, every sideline moment, it's all going to be dissected. He's not just being evaluated as a quarterback. He's being evaluated as a symbol, a gamble, a brand strategy, a culture reset. And the stakes? Couldn't be higher. Because let's not forget, Cleveland has been desperate for a savior. And the deeper the desperation, the heavier the crown. The fan base has endured years of quarterback heartbreak. We're talking jersey-length heartbreak. That one infamous fan jersey with 30-plus names crossed out like a monument to pain. So now enter Shedeur. He's not just supposed to be good. He's supposed to redeem a franchise. No pressure, right? And still you get the sense he's not shaken. At all. That's the crazy part. He's not walking around like a kid who's trying to prove himself. He's walking like someone who already knows he belongs. Like someone who's been planning for this since he was 7, holding a mic next to Dion in a post-game press conference. He knows what it means to perform with eyes on you. But here's where the plot thickens. Because while the fans and media are losing their minds about Shedeur, we haven't even scratched the surface of what this decision says about Andrew Berry. This is career-defining stuff. He's not just playing general manager, he's gambling his entire reputation on a rookie quarterback with 0 NFL starts. One bad season and this move becomes a cautionary tale. One locker room collapse and it becomes a scandal. And yet he still made the call. Why? Because Berry sees what most GMs are too scared to act on. The NFL has changed. This is no longer a league built entirely on X's and O's. It's about narrative, about momentum, about identity. And Cleveland? They've had none. Until now. Starting Shedeur isn't just about who throws a better out route. It's about who turns your team into a story. And when your franchise has been known mostly for pain and mediocrity, being interesting again, that's half the battle. You want butts in seats? Eyeballs on screens? Jerseys flying off the shelves? You need juice. And Shedeur's got enough juice to supply 3 franchises. But of course not everyone's sold. The critics are loud. He hasn't earned it. He's just hype. He's skipping steps. This is a PR stunt. And look, those arguments aren't entirely wrong. Starting a rookie, especially one with this much media baggage, is risky. The NFL graveyard is full of guys who came in hot, got overexposed, and flamed out in spectacular fashion. But here's what makes Shedeur different. He knows how to survive the spotlight. Hell, he's thrived in it. Most rookies walk into the league and get swallowed up by the attention. Shedeur? He's driving it. He's controlling the narrative. Controlling his image. Controlling the chaos. And if he can do that in the NFL, then maybe, just maybe, this wasn't a gamble at all. Maybe Berry's not playing roulette. Maybe he's playing chess. Still, it's not all Instagram followers and headlines. Let's talk actual football. This kid's got the mechanics, the vision, the poise, the arm talent. He's not a gimmick player. He's not just some NIL flash in the pan. This isn't a TikTok quarterback. They didn't pluck him from a highlight reel. His tape is real. His reads are clean. His decision-making? Way ahead of the curve for a rookie. But the real secret weapon? Is calm. Shedeur doesn't panic. Not under pressure. Not with the media screaming. Not with an entire city's hopes dangling from his wrist. He's been trained, not just as a quarterback but as a leader. And that's rare. That's not taught in film rooms. That's life experience. That's growing up with primetime as your father. That's knowing how to take the heat and smile through it. And don't think that leadership isn't being felt in the locker room already. He's not out there barking orders like he's trying to prove something. He's just doing the work. Showing up early. Studying film. Talking to linemen. Building trust. And the team? They feel it. Because even in the NFL, even among grown men with mortgages and kids and contracts, players rally behind a vision. They rally behind belief. And Shedeur? He believes in this team. More importantly, he believes in himself. And sometimes, that's enough to change everything. So here we are. Week 1 is approaching. Shedeur is under center. The cameras are locked in. The storylines are loaded. And the Browns? They're not the underdogs anymore. They're not the joke. They're the drama. Every snap will be judged. Every win will be celebrated like a revolution. Every mistake will be broadcast in 4K slow motion. It's going to be insane. And you know what? That's the point. This move isn't just about football. It's about breaking the cycle. About redefining what it means to wear orange and brown. About giving this cursed, chaotic franchise something they haven't had in years. A reason to hope. And sure, hope is dangerous. But in Cleveland? It's also necessary. So here's the question. Is Shedeur Sanders the next great quarterback in the league, or just the latest name in Cleveland's endless cycle of heartbreak? We don't know. But one thing's for sure. This season is going to be unforgettable. This Shedeur Sanders era in Cleveland? It's not just a quarterback controversy. It's a cultural event. This is what happens when a franchise sick of being ignored makes a move so outrageous, so provocative, so completely against the grain, it demands attention. This is no longer about wins and losses. This is about identity, about risk, about belief. And that belief? It starts with one man in a tailored suit sitting at the top of the Browns food chain, Andrew Berry. This isn't a GM following the analytics anymore. This is a GM standing on the edge of a skyscraper shouting, "Let's fly." You think Berry doesn't know the risks? Please. The man has read every headline, studied every failed quarterback the city cycled through like a tragic montage, and still looked at Shedeur and said, "Yeah, you're different." And here's the thing, he might be right. Because while most people are playing checkers with rookies, nurturing them, soft-launching them, hiding them behind veteran lines, Berry just launched Shedeur like he's the face of a franchise and the poster child for a movement in one. It's brave. Maybe even insane. But let's give the devil his due. For years, Cleveland has begged for a spark. And every year they've gotten something between a flicker and a smolder. Shedeur Sanders? He's not a spark. He's a flare gun. But what happens when that flare lights up not just the team, but the league? Because make no mistake, every other franchise is watching. Every coach, every owner, every rookie QB in a development year suddenly feels the heat. And the message is clear: the old way isn't sacred anymore. The future belongs to the bold. Shedeur doesn't come with quiet energy. He comes with noise, lights, pressure, cameras. And that's by design. Because the NFL has always had two tiers: the teams that just play football and the teams that create culture. And for years, Cleveland hasn't been in either category. They've existed in that purgatory of meh. Until now. Now, they're in the spotlight. Not because they won a Super Bowl. Not because they locked in a Hall of Famer. But because they made a move so unexpected, so audacious, that people have no choice but to tune in. And whether you love it or hate it, that's power. Let's talk about the game day pressure that's building like a tsunami. Imagine that home opener. The stadium packed. Fans decked out in new jerseys that just say, "Sanders," across the back, like he's already royalty. The entire city is vibrating with the possibility of maybe this time. The camera pans to Shedeur. Cool, collected. Like the pressure is an old friend he invited to dinner. And across from him? A defensive line that doesn't care about the hype. They want to welcome the rookie to the NFL the old-fashioned way, helmet to chin strap. And that's where the real test begins. Because this isn't college anymore. These aren't highlight reel defenses. These are grown men with mortgages and 6-year contracts and something to prove. The pass rush is faster. The windows are smaller. The margin for error? Non-existent. But here's the question we all want answered. Can Shedeur handle it? Can he stand in that pocket with 300-pound linemen charging at him and still throw a dart 40 yards downfield with confidence? Can he shake off a bad quarter, ignore the noise, and rally a team that's been conditioned for disappointment? Because it's not just about talent. It's about resolve. And oddly enough, that might be his greatest strength. Because what do you think Shedeur's been preparing for his whole life? This exact moment. Not the first snap, but the first mistake. The first pick six. The first media pile-on. The first fan meltdown. Everyone loves you when you're winning. But can you still walk with your chest high when the narrative turns? That's the true test of a franchise quarterback. Not how high your highs go, but how well you survive the low points. And if anyone's ready to ride the roller coaster with grace and grit, it's the kid who grew up calling primetime dad. That kind of mental armor? That's priceless. But let's not romanticize it too much. There will be ugly moments. Welcome to the league moments. Miscommunications, misreads, missed opportunities. That's part of the deal. No one escapes it, not even legends. But here's where Shedeur's value shines beyond the scoreboard. He doesn't shrink. He might throw a pick. He might get sacked. But he's not going to disappear. He'll come back helmet tight, jaw set, and go again. That mentality? That's what rebuilds franchises. And maybe, just maybe, that's what finally ends the Cleveland quarterback curse. But if we're being honest, this isn't just about Shedeur and Cleveland. This is a ripple effect across the entire NFL. Every team with a safe QB is now questioning if they have a guy or just a placeholder. Every coach that's been slow playing their rookie is now fielding questions from ownership asking, "Why can't we do what Cleveland did?" And every young player entering the draft? They just watched Shedeur skip the slow grind and jump to the front of the line. Not because he begged for it, but because he built for it. This is going to change things. Guaranteed. Agents will use this case in negotiations. Players will get more bold. Franchises will take bigger swings. And the old guard, the ones clutching onto the rookie should wait their turn mindset? They're in for a rude awakening. Because Shedeur didn't just change the Browns' trajectory. He may have just redefined what a rookie quarterback can be in this league. And let's not forget the storybook potential here. Imagine this season turns out to be more than a marketing stunt. Imagine the kid actually delivers, wins games, turns around a culture, leads the Browns to the playoffs. It sounds insane, until it doesn't. And if that happens, then we're not just talking about Shedeur Sanders the quarterback. We're talking about Shedeur Sanders the phenomenon, the game changer, the blueprint, the moment that broke the mold and rebuilt it in his image. And for Andrew Berry, that's legacy defining. If this move works, he's no longer a GM, he's a visionary. He didn't just choose the quarterback, he chose the future. And if it crashes, he becomes another name on the Cleveland casualty list. That's the game. That's the wait. But also, that's the fun. Because this is what sports should be: unpredictable, emotional, messy, brilliant, risky. This isn't spreadsheet football anymore. This is a spectacle. And every week we get a front row seat. So let's buckle up. The ride is officially on. And whether Shedeur Sanders turns out to be the franchise savior or just the latest chapter in Cleveland's never-ending QB drama, one thing is absolutely certain. It's going to be must-watch TV. Now tell us, do you think the Browns made the right call? Is Shedeur built for this pressure, or is this a hype train with no brakes? Will he be the spark that finally lights the fire in Cleveland, or just another name on that cursed jersey? Drop your hottest takes in the comments. Subscribe if you're here for the drama, the glory, the wild moves, and even wilder fallout, because this story is far from over. And in the NFL, that's exactly where the fun begins.